Alright everyone, I hope everyone's doing good. Now in this video, what I plan to do is talk about part 3 of the 1.5 anniversary. Now, you might not think it's happening, but it most likely is. And there's technically 3 different things that are showing us it's happening from what I've been able to gather. You could even say 4. So why did we think we'd get a ghetto in the first place? Now, the first thing I'll say is ghetto was essentially just kind of a good option for red just because of the red units we are needing. So yes, we have Ready Numaki, but he's unfortunately not good enough. The main problem is his cursed energy requirement. It takes 30 cursed energy, but you only get a 2-turn 40% debuff, which means you can only get 80%. And yes, it also gives the stun at the alt gauge. However, the main thing we are worried about is doing as much damage, especially in these floors. So that's the first thing. Now, besides that, I'm going to mention one thing, the biggest thing first, and it's this. So, during the stream, the voice actors said the 1.5 ANNI headliner must be them, right? Refer to Gojo, Geto, Shoko trio. And I mean, I think this is the first thing that confirms a part 3. I mean, it's pretty obvious. Like, we already thought we get Geto. The fact he was in the live stream also shows it. That's another thing, right? Now, the second thing I do want to talk about is the fact that Gojo and the stream and everything revealed, right, was May 20th. However, part 3, Toji's part, was only revealed June 2nd, which I think was 12 days later, or 13 or 12. I don't know if there's a 31st. Is there May 31st? I think there is. So 13 days later. So it was pretty much 2 weeks after they first revealed Gojo and Teen Ghetto. Both of them were revealed right away, similarly to Crack Joe and Teen Shoko, which means that you could say, oh, there's not going to be a part 3. Well, we don't know because they did not reveal the third unit for the half ANNI on the first half ANNI. So it also means they might not reveal it here right away. So this is another indicator, right? Besides the fact that they basically said they're coming in terms of the trio, and also because of the fact that part 3 wasn't initially revealed either, I think there's a lot to go for that. Now, next up is the fact that we're missing SP buffs for the anniversary. It does make me believe that there will be a third part because I feel like we kind of need SP buffs for an anniversary, because without SP buffs, the ANNI feels much worse, because even the first anniversary had what, like 8 units buffed, 12 units buffed. So at least getting some SP buffs would feel very good, and honestly is kind of necessary in the current meta, just giving us a bit of help, because right now the only color buffed in an anniversary is green. Where for the first ANNI, Domain Gojo buffed every color, and then we had Zonji for yellow, and technically Sukuna, right? So you could say, oh, but first ANNI only had 2 limited units, but then there was Miguel, and then there was Sukuna, right? So it was a different context, where now there's nothing like big to release in terms of limited units after the anniversary. So 3 limited units is still in play, right? Now, why else could it be Ghetto? And this is another big one. And that's because of what we're getting next. So what we are getting next, well, let's talk about it. And this is in relation to the new Illusory Realm in June. Now, the fact that this is in June, why it's important is because why would it be in June? Both of these units come out in May, and this is going to be like the first, second or third week of June, I think. So, considering that, wouldn't it make sense for us to get a Ghetto, right? Wouldn't it make sense for us to get a Ghetto? Because technically he did fight Toji, right? So, that's another thing. Considering we're still getting HI-themed events in June, multiple weeks into June, and the fact that these banners end August 3rd, not in July, August 3rd, which tells me again, there's still something missing, right? There's still something missing, indicating once again, especially because this is Toji, that we are going to get Ghetto. Now, which Ghetto could it be? I'm guessing depressed Ghetto, but I also think there's unused attacks for Ghetto, which they could easily do. But it could be depressed Ghetto, however, not guaranteed. I just think Ghetto in general. But this is technically Teen Ghetto, because I think he's 17 here, so he's still a teenager. But it could also be just a normal Ghetto, right? Just a normal Ghetto, except he has different attacks. Because the one we have right now, I think, is the one that fought Toji, but it could be another Ghetto, if anything. So I'm just keeping that up for discussion. But I do think it's going to be Ghetto because, one, gonna be HI, and they talked about the trio, right? Then also Toji, Illusory Realm, all that shit, and then Teen Ghetto being a sub DPS, and Ghetto in general being a sub DPS with amazing stat debuff support, which is what Red needs. Now, why does Red need it? Well, because of floor 80. So floor 80 right now, there's like, you're not really using Inumaki. The main team that I'm seeing is it's these two. It's these two together. So if you're able to switch Nanami for a red Ghetto, let me just say, this will get much easier. This, in my opinion, is going to be the first Ghetto that's going to support debuff AoE. I think he's going to do an AoE version of this. And I think so because, well, there's 3 units, right? You're fighting 3 units here. And why is it so hard? Well, his damage increases as he gets lower. He has a domain. If you kill the minions, they also explode on you if you kill them with a single target, which is why I think that Ghetto is going to be AoE, right? And then also it's the amount of HP. He has 67 million HP, so we have to keep that in mind. To where also debuffs are not lowered from 71 to 80. Buffs are lowered, not debuffs, which means a debuffer is going to be very good here and also slot much better than a Nanami, and allow Ghetto to go crazy. Because right now, getting a sub DPS support that's also doing damage to be able to slot in here and giving you essentially 3 units doing damage on the team, like good damage, is I think just going to be really good. So my personal thoughts is that he's going to be like, I could see same design as this Ghetto potentially. However, it's gonna be with different attacks for sure. And I think this skill where it's like, okay, you get what, 40%, like 37% stat increase for 4 turns. Maybe, first of all, maybe now it's gonna be that it's like 40% stats for 4 turns AoE, but for Jujutsu and Taijutsu, and then his ult could be in a similar state AoE, right? So he could be just a very good unit. Honestly, like, he would be top 5 if the kid I'm describing is gonna happen, where he's gonna do like relatively similar damage, if not a bit better than this Green Ghetto. However, his skill 2 is gonna be both for Jujutsu and Taijutsu. Maybe his skill 3 is pure damage. Maybe it's pure damage and no buff or debuff, right? Then I think it could be really good. To where he's like in between a sub DPS and a DPS, to where he's gonna be cooking. I think that's what Red needs, because as long as they get a good stat debuffer and he's AoE, dude, floor 80 is going to become your bitch, okay? Because right now, the problem is that even Inumaki, only 80% is not that good. But if you double that and also make him able to do damage, yeah, it's going to be fucking insane. So I do think we're kind of in line for this because of the fact that there's still going to be hidden inventory content in June. Also because we are missing the SP buffs, and it just seems like there's a little something missing from this anniversary. And I think Ghetto is going to complete it. I think Red makes sense. Also, it makes sense because we have a green Teen Ghetto and we have a blue Ghetto, which means it had to be yellow or red. However, yellow's in a good spot, which would by default make it red. And everyone wants a new red unit because we need it for the floor 80. Because floor 80, if you don't have Nobara Max duped, Domain Gojo dupe 1, and Yuta dupe 1, if you don't have that, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be almost impossible, minimum. But even if you have that, it's going to be very difficult, to where if you have this Ghetto, it's going to be made much easier, which I think is how they're going to want to play. And I think this Ghetto would be an amazing, amazing addition to the roster, because Inumaki did not cook at all. And I think he didn't cook because they were planning to have another red stat debuffer being Ghetto, to where maybe he's going to be an AoE stat debuffer, and he's going to be goated. Hopefully. That's my guess. Thank you guys for watching the video. I think that's going to be the play. Mono red Ghetto could be fire as hell. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.